Hi teachers, I am here for the last lead learner redelivery. This is parts 3 and 4. I'm going to mush together on visible learning and how to make learning visible in your classrooms. What are the most effective strategies? So let's jump in. Our learning target is learning effective strategies that support deep learning. And you'll know you're successful when you can apply these in the classroom. So as a reminder, there's surface learning, deep learning, and transfer learning, and all three are very important. Surface learning cannot happen without, deep learning cannot happen without surface learning, and there needs to be a balance. And like I said last time, the tricky part is knowing which level your students are in, and the fact that we have all different students means that they're going to be at different levels at different times. So when you're planning lessons, thinking about how can I reach the students that are still on the surface level, and how can I push some of the other students that are on the deep level to think a little bit deeper. So for deep learning, the ones I'm going to highlight today are concept mapping, close reading, and reciprocal teaching. Concept mapping links back to one that we talked about last time, which was the word sorts. And you can kind of link concept mapping and word sorts together. So that kind of takes is one of those strategies that can be surface and deep depending on the child. It's always good to have a strategy that's, gives you a lot of bang for your buck. So that is a good one. Concept mapping is another one where, a student that's on a surface level, they can, apply whatever knowledge they can, but then you can take other students deeper. So for concept mapping, I related this to SRSD. The picture on the left is one of our stories from the beginning of the year. And we just took text evidence notes on, that's what's in the yellow, and we were responding to a prompt, so we kind of knew what we were looking for. And I honestly can't remember the prompt off the top of my head, but we were looking for specific text evidence. And then what we did was we sorted the text evidence into 3 groups. So this is kind of connecting that sort and concept mapping. Like I said, so we sorted them into unfair treatment, into family, and then the challenges she faces trying to be an Olympian. And then we were able to take those and apply those into our essay for our tide chart. I've got some other examples up here that you could easily apply to science, math, social studies, any subject. It's obvious that I like to link, like I said, to the word sort, but there are tons of concept mapping strategies out there that have a very good effect size of 0.6. So that's a great strategy to use. Close reading. We've all heard of close reading, but taking it a little bit further, close reading is the repeated reading of a passage, annotating the text, and the teacher guiding a discussion through questioning. So all of that is built into our open court, but we know with SRSD integration there are times we have to pick and choose. So these are the ones that you want to make sure you continue to do in your reading. And I really like this note-taking chart. I just found this on the internet, close reading note-taking guide. And this would be a good thing to maybe even cut up into pieces to give kids just one chunk at a time so they're not trying to, get to the end too quickly. But that would be a really good note-taking guide. Reciprocal teaching, I've got a video that I will link. It is close reading plus roles. So giving students a summarizing, questioning, clarifying, or predicting role. And the good news about reciprocal teaching is once you teach it, the kids kind of learn their strategies, learn their roles. They can, roll with this throughout the year, and you can apply it to many different subjects and many different texts. And it has a huge effect size. So it's 0.74 for the effect size. So I will also link this video in the staff notes. So I'm going to go on to part 4, which is the transfer learning. And I'm going to highlight a few things from our book. Analogies, identifying analogies, problem-solving teaching, and giving students time to investigate and produce. These were some of the ones that really stuck out to me as we were discussing. Socratic seminar, I know we've talked a little bit about that one. I'll be happy to, help you out in that if you need it, but we kind of have that built into OpenCourt as well. Extended writing, Amanda suggested that we don't do extended writing until maybe the Unit 4. Then we can kind of start to do a little bit of extended writing, and that would look different at different, grade levels, obviously. So let's jump into these. So I found some of these were listed in the book, and then some of these I was just aware of, but these are some books that are really great for teaching analogies, and the effect size is 0.85. This is something that you can't necessarily teach, so I was trying to think of, how can we teach kids to make these connections? Because in the book, it talks about how you really just want these kids to organically start to make connections. Oh, a plant and animal cell is like a factory. Oh, an elephant's trunk is like a garden hose. But we can place scaffolds into place that will help them start to make those connections. So these are some great books. Seraphina's Promise is one of my top 3 favorite books ever. It's a poetry book, so that one would be for upper grades. And then I put some other picture books in there. But just, there's a lot we can do for students, especially at a young age, that is going to help, when they're older, and they're going to be able to make those connections, especially a lot of things we're doing through STEM. They're able to make a ton of connections. So again, this is a transfer strategy that we want them to sort of organically do, but we can start to scaffold and teach them how to make those connections between things, between subjects, between topics. All right, so the next one is problem-solving teaching. This is different than PBLs. So I'll try to do my best to kind of explain how it's different. I kind of had an aha moment in one of our STEM trainings. When we were talking about how we sort of started with PBLs, and we should have started with the engineering design process. So I had this moment of connection with the Visible Learning book, because PBLs are deep learning, and the EDP is surface learning. So they really do need that scaffolded engineering design process before jumping into a PBL. Problem-solving teaching is a transfer strategy. And so it's used to accelerate learning, and it's deployed when deep learning is already happening. So in PBLs, we often will present students with a problem and then jump into the learning. With problem-solving teaching, the deep learning is already happening, and then it's almost like you surprise them with, this thing that you already had planned, but they start making connections between, an article you're reading. It had a really good example in the book of an ELA teacher and a math and science teacher working together and giving them articles that contradicted each other, and not saying anything to the students, but it ended up turning into this huge debate that the students, were able to turn into writing and, kind of choose sides, find text evidence. So debating, problem-solving teaching kind of goes into that. So again, a very strong effect size as well. This one is, I think, something that we're doing really well at lately. So time to investigate and produce. So transfer knowledge, they need time for this. Opportunities for and expectations of transfer knowledge should be woven into classroom life, and I think we're on our way to doing that. The book talks a lot about Genius Hour, So I'm sure you've heard of that. So just giving students time to pursue their own projects, or projects that you are kind of guiding them through. But investigation and production aren't moments in time, but rather should be part of the learning climate of the classroom. And with everything I've seen in our school building with STEM, I think we're headed that direction where, think of transfer as sort of a conduit that is guiding your students between surface and deep learning, and then even deeper. So they're able to make these products that show their learning. All right, and that is all I have. Again, I've got an extra book if anybody's interested in reading it in your spare time, or if you would like a part of it, if there's something you're really interested in, I can just copy a couple pages from the book and put that in your box. Or please stop by anytime to talk to me or send me a text. I geek out over all this stuff, so I'm happy to chat with you about it. But I hope you have enjoyed learning how to make learning visible in your classrooms, and let me know if you need anything.